Finance Committee meeting for June 1st. Unlike the previous meetings during the pandemic, this one is being conducted completely remotely because the courthouse is being dried out, and they've got it heated up and loud fans to try to dry out the water in the building. And so Council Director Cooper and I, instead of being in the same room, are both at our respective homes today. So I haven't conducted the meeting remotely. Please be patient with me. So the first thing we need to do is do a roll call, just see who's here. If committee members who are present can use the raise hand function, we'll have Mr. Cooper figure out attendance. Mr. Cooper, just let me know when you're ready to go.
Okay, I think I'm ready. I'm showing Mendez, Allen, Benedict, Gruffel, Glover, Roten, Suara, Syracuse, and Toombs. Same here. Thank you. All right, y'all can put your hands down. Thanks. I see there's a bunch of other council members on the call too. Thanks for joining us. We need to start with the motion allowing us to proceed. And so I'll read the motion and ask somebody to make it. Pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 regarding electronic meetings, as extended by Executive Order number 34, I make a motion that this committee meeting agenda constitutes essential business of the Metropolitan Council, and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak.
So moved.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, so we passed that. And then Councilmember Allen, I see your hands up. Nope. Okay, great. All right, we're going to dive in, folks. First is resolution RS 2020-332, sponsor Mendez, approves a grant from the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services to the state trial courts to provide Tennessee Certified Recovery Court Program at the Davidson County Residential Drug Court to establish adult and juvenile drug court programs to address the needs of nonviolent offenders. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We recommend approval. Next is RS 2020-333. Sponsor Mendez authorizes the Metro Department of Law to compromise and settle Metro government's contract claim against Youth Opportunity Investments. Is there a motion?
So moved.
All right. I see some discussion. Councilmember Benedict.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Going through the new laptop here. So I know the last time that this was in front of us, a number of my colleagues voted against it based on some information that I shared. In talking with the administration, I do think that this settlement is the best that the city can believes that it can get, and that my understanding is that there will be more accountability with this vendor going forward. So although I'm not going to vote for this, I'm going to abstain. I do think it's in the best interest of the city and to accept the settlement at this time. So I encourage my colleagues to vote for it. But if you could please put me down as abstaining, I'd appreciate that.
Will do, council member. Anybody else for discussion? I'm not seeing any. All right, we've got resolution. What's up?
This is Suara. I'll be abstaining too.
All right. Well, let's do this first. Then let me get the. I'll ask for the abstentions after I see if there's any no votes. All right. So we've got resolution RS 2020-333. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? I'm not hearing any opposed. I know there's 2 abstentions, Councilmember Benedict, Councilmember Suara. Are there any other abstentions? All right, we recommend approval. RS 2020-334, sponsor Mendez, approves a parental assistance court grant from the Tennessee Department of Human Services to the Davidson County Juvenile Court to provide employment and support services to non-custodial parents, utilizing the 2-generation approach, focusing on the success of children and the adults in their lives. Is it a motion?
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? We recommend approval. RS 2020-335, sponsors Mendez Styles, approves amendments to a grant from the Tennessee Department of Children's Services to the Davidson County Juvenile Court for a safe baby court to serve at-risk children. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. RS 2020-336, sponsor Mendez, approves a grant from Oasis Center, Inc. to the Davidson County Juvenile Court for the implementation of the Wyman's Teen Outreach Program to decrease risky behaviors and increase life skills among youth. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. Resolution RS 2020-337, O'Connell Mendez Murphy, approves an amendment to a lease agreement between Metro and Square Investment Holdings, LLC, for office space in the Washington Square building located at 222 2nd Avenue North. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing Councilmember Suara.
Thank you, Chair. I'm looking at the fiscal analysis, and one clarification that this agreement is doing 2 things. One is reducing the lease payment for a year, but it's also extending it for another 5 years. Is that correct?
Mr. Cooper?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
So the question that I have made is a general question. There is a lot of conversation about Metro buildings that are vacant. Are we looking into the utilization of some of these buildings before we keep extending contracts with third parties?
It's my understanding that given the rent reduction for the year and the favorable rent terms for the remainder of the lease, that General Services and the respective departments determined that it was better to continue leasing space in this building. The occupants of the building need to be close to the courthouse, and so it's a very good location for the departments that are located there. I don't know if anyone from those other departments is on the call or not that would want to address that, but that was my understanding from discussing that issue with them this morning.
And the rate reduction is just for 1 year. So after 1 year, it goes back to the original price, or does it increase? Do we look at it again after 1 year? How does that work?
If you look at the analysis, there is a rent schedule that we put in there per square foot, so you can see what the rates are. There's a slight increase every year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember Glover. You're still on mute if you're talking. All right. Council member, there you go. You're muted.
Is that working now?
Yep, that's great.
Okay.
Got it now.
Okay, I'm sorry, I called in from the phone. All right, so what it looks like is roughly a 3% increase annual. Is that about correct, Mr. Cooper? I know you don't have probably the exact numbers, but that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I haven't done the math, but yeah, that seems right.
I just ran it quickly, so yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, all right, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen?
I had the same question as Councilmember Suarez, especially as we're emptying these school buildings and they're going to be sitting vacant. Can we look at moving some of these functions into school buildings? So perhaps if we could see the number comparisons of using metro buildings that are vacant, what that would cost us to do. And, you know, if turning the utilities on and all that ends up costing us more per square foot of what we'd use, then I would agree with that. It would be helpful if we could see that comparison.
If Mr. Cooper is going to do that for us, I would ask him to add in travel time and parking because both these offices spend their time in the courthouse. So they're going to be downtown wherever their office is.
Right. They're parking downtown as well. So it'd be parking in both scenarios, correct? Parking costs in both scenarios. If, for example, if they're in a school in Sylvan Park, they won't have to pay to park there. They only have to park when they come downtown. So
they don't pay to park here either.
Okay.
We've got most of them park across the river at the Nissan Stadium lot.
Great. Okay. That's good information. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilman Glover, I'm going to assume that hand is just still up from before. Thank you. All right, seeing nobody else in the queue, we're on resolution RS 2020-37. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. All right, RS 2020-338 sponsors Toombs Mendez Allen, authorizes the Metro Development and Housing Agency to enter into a pilot agreement and accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to a multifamily housing project located at 2996 Dickerson Pike. Councilmember Toombs?
Move for approval.
Second.
You have an amendment?
I do. I apologize. I don't have the amendment in front of me, but I know that it changes. Some of the calculations were incorrect, and so the amendment puts in the correct calculation. So I'd like to move the amendment.
So moved.
All right, so the amendment's been moved. Mr. Cooper, do you want to just address briefly what the correction is that's made in the amendment?
Yes, it's a housekeeping amendment both for this one and for the next resolution. It just had there was a slight error in the amount of availability and the amount of the tax abatement. We're talking a few dollars difference, but it just corrects it to have the updated number.
All right, excellent. Thank you for that explanation. Councilmember Glover?
Just very quickly, I thought we had something that said we don't want to do anything else right now. And so are we contradicting ourselves or are we not here? And I don't remember the exact resolution or bill or what we were working. Maybe I'm off base.
I think we can ask Mr. Cooper, but I think these pilots were excluded from that language. Is that right, Mr. Cooper?
That's correct. They were expressly exempt.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Seeing nobody else in the queue, we're voting on whether to add the housekeeping amendment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Great. Councilmember Toombs, you can move it as amended.
Move for approval as amended.
Second.
Any discussion on the resolution as amended? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We recommend approval as amended. Next is Resolution RS 2023-39. Van Rees Mendez Allen authorizes MDHA authorizes the Metro Development and Housing Agency to enter into a pilot agreement and accept payments in lieu of ad valorem taxes with respect to multifamily housing project located at 808 and 820 Skyline Ridge Drive. I know this is in Council Member Van Rees's district. If somebody can make a motion, then we can ask her to talk about it.
Second.
Councilmember Van Rees.
Thank you very much. I would like to also move to add the amendment as described earlier.
We'll move that after you want to tell us about the project, and then I'll have a committee member move that.
Sure, I'm more than happy. The project at 808 Skyline is literally across the street from Music City Solar, the back door turned front door for HCA Skyline Hospital. This is a project that was warmly welcomed by the community when going through the SP process. It is being brought to us by the folks at LDG, who have also done some work in two other locations in District 8, and they have worked diligently to create a relationship with the community. One of the interesting things about this particular development is that in exchange for all this affordability, we not only get what we always require in regard to the 30-year really plus that will remain affordable. There also, as part of the SP, there was an amendment indicating a $100,000 donation that's going to take place to help with the historic restoration of a pocket park that we're planning across the street with HCA. There's going to be another about $1.3 million in value to road improvements to Skyline Ridge Drive, the widening of the road to Dickerson Pike with a curb cutter planting strip, 4-foot curb cutter planting strip, all the way to Dickerson Pike, 5-foot sidewalks to Dickerson Pike, 2 crosswalks, pedestrian flashers at crosswalks, street lights, trees, all the right-of-way necessary to get all the way down to Dickerson Pike, an enormous amount of infrastructure development. It not only helps the folks that will be living at the 808 Skyline, but also the community visiting Music City Solar, the new park that we're hoping to execute, and of course, way better access to the emergency room to HCA. And so it comes with added benefits. So I wanted to point that out, and you can ask any questions you like. Otherwise, I'd like to move the amendment.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Can somebody move the housekeeping amendment, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Looks like there's no discussion on the amendment. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we've added the amendment. Can somebody move the resolution as amended?
So moved.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Swarl.
Thank you, Chair. This is not specific to the resolution itself. It's more like a general question for Director Cooper. In looking at the analysis, it appears that this resolution and this project has a 94% tax abatement, whereas the one we're looking at in 338 was a 44%. My question is that calculation typically based on the project? Is it based on location? How is that determined, and why is there a disparity in the 2%?
So I'll defer to Mr. Wiltshire or others from NDHA. It's my understanding that each one of these pilots is negotiated on a case-by-case basis, and various factors go into that determination, financing, amenities that will be provided, infrastructure improvements, all sorts of things. But I do know we have MDHA on the call that can respond.
I think they might be on by telephone.
Mr. Wiltshire sent me an email earlier that he was on the call.
Yeah, Slade, have you got them activated?
As is Emil Alexander.
Yeah, so guys, one of the challenges here is when people,
I think I've been unmuted now. Can you guys hear me?
great. Go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Wilshire.
Absolutely. I've texted Joe Kane, who specifically negotiated that, he and his group over at Community Development. But I can confirm what Mr. Cooper said. So essentially, the way we approach these, and if Joe Kane is on, he can speak to the specifics of each of these projects. But the way we negotiate each of these is we try and give away as little abatement as possible, but still have the project move forward based upon the return criteria of the projects. I'll speak about one general comment and then defer to Mr. Kane for specifics. If Slade, you can find him on the dial-in. But as this body knows, there's a particular quirk of the Tennessee Constitution. I won't say quirk, but aspect of the Tennessee Constitution, which says all property must be taxed. And there is a case out of Spring Hill, Tennessee, that defined the value of the tax credits as property associated with the project. So the strange quirk of Tennessee case law is that the value of the tax credits are added to the value of the property. So if a building were worth, I don't know, $30 million and the tax credits were worth $8 million, the property taxes would be assessed as if the building were worth $38 million. As the value of the tax credits burn off over time, that value diminishes. But the first initial objective is to reduce the excess taxation that we put on low-income housing tax credit properties because of the tax credits assessed by or granted by the state. But in a number of instances, because of the particulars of the projects, those that Mr. Cooper referenced, the increasing amount of low-income availability and the affordability of the project, the amount of the abatement goes above that. And so that's created the particular discrepancy evidenced by the different abatement amounts in these two. But I would say that the first objective is as much affordable housing as we can get for as little abatement as possible. And then beyond that, it really deals with the specifics of the project, which I don't have in front of me. But let me pause and see if someone from the urban development, either Joe Kane or Matt Loftus is on. If not, I will follow up specifically with the committee to provide a specific answer to the question that Councilwoman Suara put forward.
Council member?
I'm fine. It was just a clarification or education. I just wanted to just hear as much as possible, and so I'm good. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Councilmember, having asked those same questions 8 months into the last term, I'd highly recommend to any interested council member that Matt and Joe Kane at MDHA would be happy to talk to you one-on-one about this program overall to give you as many details as you want about the program. Mr. Wilshire, thanks for joining us.
Sure.
Council Member Vercher.
Thank you so much, Chair. Can we have MDHA provide us with the metrics that they are utilizing in negotiating these deals? Just with the climate, what would justify a 94% abatement?
Mr. Wilshire.
Absolutely. And again, let me just pause for a moment. And I really apologize. I should have had these details available because these are completely logical and should have been expected questions. In general, though, Councilwoman Vercher, you're exactly right. Your question is totally legitimate. It depends upon the specifics of this project, but in general, what we're looking at is the return criteria for the investors to keep that in line with other projects that we've looked at. But let me defer to either Joe Kane or Matt Loftus if they're on the phone.
Yeah, if they haven't provided their cell phone number to the council office in advance, it's gonna be hard to work the logistics of unmuting them. If you can tell Slade what phone number to look for in the list, that might help.
Any 252 number, but though that may be Mel Alexander, who's on to answer questions about the bill relating to the community plan, the consolidated action plan. So either a 252 number and
I do have a 252 number, and I'm ready to unmute them if you would like.
Okay, sure, please.
252, you're on.
So this is Emil. Hello?
Hello.
Yep. So Amel's not the guy for this one. Okay. Joe Kane's cell phone number is is a 692 number.
Don't see a six. I do not see a 692 number in here. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me do this. Council committee members, let me follow up with you specifically, but the short answer, Councilwoman Vercher, to your question is what we're looking at is the precedent from other projects and making sure that it's in line with other projects in terms of the value of the abatement per unit and the return criteria.
Councilmember Vercher, any further questions? You're muted.
Chair, the district council member has done a phenomenal job for her district. I'm just uncomfortable with the disproportionate in the projects, considering just where we are and with the climate, we are beyond precedent. We can't continue to make decisions based on precedent. I like to be recorded as abstaining.
Thank you. Let's see, Mr. Wilshire, hopefully by midday tomorrow, you can get Mr. Cooper in the council office some information that addresses Councilmember Vercher's concerns, and we can share it with the council. Does that work, Mr. Wilshire?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. And hold on a second, please. All right, Council Member Van Rees, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Committee members, I understand we're all wanting to do our due diligence on this. And that's why I wanted to rattle off all the additional improvements that the city is getting in exchange for this property. It's not just another apartment complex that provides affordable housing. Lord knows we need as many units as possible. But it is, I don't know of another situation that has an entrance to an emergency room that needed road improvements. There is a number of different reasons to be able to make this area more walkable in order to get to the Dickerson Pike corridor. It's a unique situation that provided unique opportunities, and the community is well aware of the exchange and that sacrifice. So I encourage you to go ahead and approve this. Any additional questions, I'm sure will be addressed before tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. All right, we're going to do the Councilmember Vercher. I'm assuming that hand is just up from before. So we're going to do the vote this way. I'm going to ask for yes votes, no votes, and then whether there's any other abstentions. beyond Councilmember Vercher. So we've got Resolution RS 2020-339 as amended. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none opposed. We know we've got Councilmember Vercher abstaining. Is anybody else abstaining? Hearing none, we'll have the one abstention, and it'll be recommended for approval as amended. Thank you, Councilmember Van Brees. Next is Resolution RS 2020-340. Mendez-Allen authorizes the mayor to submit substantial amendment to and the 2020-2021 annual update to the 2018 to 2023 consolidated plan for housing and community development to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved.
Second.
Seconded. Seeing no discussion, I do think it is worth having Mr. Wilshire briefly describe what this is for us before we vote. Mr. Wilshire.
I'm going to defer to Amel Alexander, who we heard from earlier, who can give a more detailed response on this. But this is an amendment to the community plan related to the expenditure of CDBG, home, ESG, and HOPWA funds that come through MDHA.
All right, Amel, are you still on?
I'm still here. This is Emil Alexander. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Each year, we're required to submit an annual update to HUD. It's sort of an annual update to our 5-year consolidated plan, and it serves as our application for CDBG, home investment partnership funds, emergency solution grant funds, and housing opportunities for persons with AIDS. It covers year 3 of the 5-year consolidated plan period. It begins actually today on June 1st and ends on May 31st for this upcoming program year. And we're requesting to move forward with submitting that plan to HUD and going through the necessary process of having them release our grant agreement.
Thank you very much. All right, council members, we've had a motion. It's seconded. Seeing nobody in the queue, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. Next is Resolution RS 2020-341. Mendez Pulley Styles approves an assistance to firefighters grant from the United States Department of Homeland Security to the Metro Nashville Fire Department to provide resources to equip personnel in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded, and seeing nobody wanting to speak, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. Next is Resolution RS 2020-342. O'Connell, Mendez, and others approves an in-kind grant from the Historic Capital Corridor Foundation to the Metro Nashville Parks and Recreation Department for improvements to and programming for the Church Street Park. What I'd like here is just a motion to get it on the floor and then ask Councilmember O'Connell to comment to the committee.
So moved.
Second.
All right, with that, Councilmember O'Connell, would you comment, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, committee members. I came to committee today actually intending to defer this one meeting because this is an issue that honestly represents one of the most important unresolved conversations from last term about the future management of urban parks and green space, specifically with regard to Church Street Park. And so I had not had any contact from the Historic Capital Corridor Foundation about this. I had not had any contact from Metro Parks about this. I had not had any contact from the administration about this until beginning a conversation today. And while I'm confident the Historic Capital Corridor Foundation means well with the offer of an in-kind grant, the plan associated with the grant has not benefited from any of the depth of public stakeholder involvement that previous plans have enjoyed. And this is a complicated scenario involving multiple stakeholders, Hermitage Hotel Group being one of them. Obviously, there was a development proposal there, but I think this is the kind of scenario that would benefit from participation of the Nashville Downtown Partnership, the Civic Design Center, certainly the Urban Residents Association, and we have not been able to do that. I think above all else, I would expect a level of transparency to be achieved in this conversation that many alleged was absent in previous conversations about the future of Church Street Park. And I know this is a short-term scenario. I know we've got a women's suffrage movement in front of us, but as I review this today, I am left with a number of questions. I do have a commitment so far from the administration that passage of this resolution will not preclude any future designs, improvements, or alterations, and nor does it imply that the Historic Capital Corridor Foundation is the sole stakeholder of consequence in determining the future of the park. But I need to understand the timing issues underlying this. I come in tonight with a lot of questions. I am content to give the administration another day to answer as many of those as possible before considering deferral. I did want this committee to be aware of those concerns.
So at this point, you're asking us to recommend approval with the asterisk that you might ask for something else tomorrow?
That is correct. I would state it as I am comfortable with this committee advancing this bill, but it is with that footnote, yes.
All right, thank you. I saw Councilmember Glover, go ahead. Can't hear you yet, Councilman. Councilmember Glover, you there? Councilman Glover, I'm going to.
All right, I'm trying right there.
There you go. Thank you.
It's bouncing back and forth between my phone and computer. Sorry about that, Chair. All right, this is a resolution, so we only do one vote unless I'm missing something here.
Yeah, I think Councilman O'Connell is saying that he would like to preserve the opportunity to be made satisfied by tomorrow. And so he is okay with the committee approving it as long as we know that he might tomorrow decide to defer instead.
Okay, then maybe we ask the sponsor him if that was it, because he said bill versus resolution. I just want to make sure I'm paying attention and
Sure.
Following where the sponsor would like to be.
Point of information, I'm very aware that this is a resolution and that tomorrow will be the deciding factor on a deferral. So thank you. That's an important clarification.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as another council member who spent a lot of time dealing with the park, where well-intentioned contributions have been made, but the community engagement was kind of done as an afterthought. I think the importance of bringing all the stakeholders together ahead of time, it can't be overemphasized. So I appreciate the council member being thoughtful about how we make that happen, or at least ensure that that's not precluded in further stuff. So I support his approach on this.
Thank you, council member. All right, so we have a motion on the floor to approve. The lead sponsor is okay with that, with his caveats. I'm seeing nobody else in the queue, so we're voting on a motion to recommend approval. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we recommend approval. Thank you. Thank you, Council Member O'Connell. All right, next, resolution RS 2020-343, sponsors Syracuse, Mendez, others, approves a grant package from the Friends of Two Rivers Mansion to the Metro National Parks and Recreation Department to provide partial funding for 1 administrative support person and 2 part-time employees to conduct scenic historic tours during June, July, and August and the Christmas 2020 season at Two Rivers Mansion. Councilman Syracuse.
Thank you, Chair. Move approval.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Councilman Glover, I assume that hand is from the last item. Seeing nobody looking for discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. RS 2020-344, Withers, Mendez, and others, approves an in-kind grant from the Friends of Shelby Park and Bottoms to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation to provide various improvements to Shelby Park and Bottoms. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Don't think Mr. Withers is with us. There's no discussion. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. RS 2020-345, Mendez, Hager, Hancock approves an amendment to a grant from the Friends of Warner Parks to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation to provide Wi-Fi and a copier to the Warner Parks headquarters. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We recommend approval. Resolution RS 2020-346, Syracuse, Mendez, and others, approves in-kind grant from the Two Rivers Golf Association and Two Rivers Senior Golf Association to the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation to construct a new bridge on the Two Rivers Golf Course from the cart path to the white tee box on the 5th hole. Councilman Syracuse.
Thank you, Chair. Move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval. Next is Resolution RS 2020-353, Swara and Gamble, request recipients of economic development incentive grants from Metro government to forego such grants in fiscal year 2020-2021. Councilman Swara.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to defer the resolution for 1 meeting, please.
Is there a second for that?
Second.
All right, there's a motion and a second to defer for 1 meeting. Seeing nobody in the queue, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? We recommend deferral for 1 meeting. Moving to bills on public hearing. This is BL 2020-298, Mendez Murphy adopts the 2020 to 2021 through 2025, 2026 capital improvements budget for the Metropolitan government for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. On this one, we need a motion to approve and re-refer to Budget and Finance and Planning and Zoning.
So moved.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. You all already know the public hearing on the CIB is tomorrow night. Seeing nobody with their hand raised for the queue, all in favor of approving with the referral to the two committees, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval with the re-referral to Budget and Finance and Planning and Zoning. Let me just check in. Mr. Cooper, I assume that's what we needed to do. Is that right?
Yes, approve and re-refer, correct.
All right. And the same deal with the other budget-related ones?
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks. Next is BL 2020-286, Mendez, approves the budget ordinance of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County for fiscal year 2021. It's another one where we need a motion to approve and re-refer to Budget and Finance.
So moved.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. This also, everybody knows, is set for public hearing tomorrow night. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Can you just run through the logistics of the scheduled workshops that are coming up and how we'll work through the different possible budgets that we'll be talking about and when our budget list items will be incorporated and discussed?
Sure. The intention is for it to be similar or the same as Councilmember Vercher did it when she was chair for the last couple of years. The deadline for wish list items is, I think, set for tomorrow. I think Mr. Cooper is going to send an email at some point extending that into the morning of Wednesday so people can digest what they hear at the public hearing, but then get wish list items in by no later than mid-morning the next day. Then the wish list items will be basically create the agenda for the work session that we'll have on the 4th and the 8th. And from doing this in previous years, no matter what organization one attempts to place on a meeting like this, it's necessarily a little bit, the conversation goes where it goes. But it's my intention that wish list deadline is for real, and that will cause the basis of the conversation that we have.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Councilmember Glover also, go ahead. You keep trying. I'll let you know when we hear you.
Hold on.
Gotcha. Oh, almost. Gotcha.
It's there. Yep. Keep bouncing back and forth between the computer and phone. Sorry about that. All right. So given the fact that we've got several substitutes this year, a little bit different than last year, several of us have been working on them for a while. We're going to approve, I'm assuming tonight, second reading. And so therefore, will there also be an opportunity prior to the actual vote to bring the subs up, have discussion, and any room for movement on those? And I realize that in the past, really not been that available, but given the complexity of this year and the substantial tax increase that we may be looking at, what are the options there, please?
Well, so far, the only substitutes that anybody knows about, the details are the ones that I put in the amendments package today. So anybody else who's got a substitute, nobody knows what's in it. And so it's going to be hard to discuss without knowing what's in it. Per advice from Mr. Cooper about the best way to handle multiple substitutes, when we get to third reading, which is when all the action is on the voting. There presumably anybody who wants to put forward their substitute for a vote will have it in the amendments package for the June 15 and June 16 meetings. And when we get to the council meeting, well, I'll talk about Budget and Finance first. Budget and Finance, it is going to be like the last couple of years where there were multiple substitutes, and we'll go through them one at a time and have the committee recommend approval or not for each one. And then when it gets to the council meeting the next night, Mr. Cooper advises that we rely on Robert's Rules of Order about how we handle it. And as I understand it, he can correct me if I'm wrong, the mayor's bill as proposed will be moved as normal. The chair's substitute will be moved next. If it's adopted, it'll be the substitute, and then somebody can offer a second substitute. And it's basically, if my substitute is adopted, then it ends up being a contest between my substitute and whoever's is next. We'll go in order that people raise their hand. Vice Mayor Schulman will decide that. If, on the other hand, mine is not adopted, then it'll basically be the mayor's versus whoever substitute is up next, and so on. So if mine fails and whoever's is the next one gets adopted, and there's another one after that, then it'll always be whichever one is the most recent one to have been adopted versus whichever one is next. Mr. Cooper, I'm not sure I did that justice. Anything you think I need to correct in that?
No, sir. The only thing I would add is that if you are the sponsor of an alternative substitute, during the discussion portion of the chair substitute, you can say, I have a substitute, mine does X, Y, and Z. That's why it's better than the chair substitute. So there's an opportunity to discuss it, but once you have the vote, then everything Chairman Mendez outlined is correct.
All right, so Mr. Cooper, I just want to make sure everyone on the council understands we have a implied deadline of June 16th, but in reality, our deadline is June the 30th. And so what I would like for us not to do is rush into this, because as was just described, we would have a 32 or a 34% property tax increase. That's basically kind of what's out there right now. As you're aware, I have a substitute. I continue working on it. I'll be submitting it as I promised on the timeline I said I would be. And so therefore, I would like to make sure that it gets out there, have discussion, because I realize once we get into the voting section, then that's where we are. But I just would like everyone to understand, we do not have to pass this on the 16th. We have until the 30th.
And thank you for that, Mr. Glover. Council members, I want to be equally as clear that it's my intention to pass a budget on June 16th, and any council member is entitled to move to defer to a later meeting. And if there is a majority of council members who succeed in a motion to defer, to have us continue to talk about it remotely during the pandemic, then that's what'll happen. But it's absolutely my intention to move this toward a vote on June 16th. Councilmember Treffel?
Yeah, Chair, I think I got what you said in terms of process and procedure. Could you refer me to someplace in writing so I can just confirm in my mind that I have the process down correctly?
Probably the best place to do is, and I'd recommend this to any council member, is probably the best way to get to the finish line is to have a conversation with Council Director Cooper. Previous experience the last couple of years shows that attempts to put this in writing any different than Robert's Rules of Order has it get difficult. It's basically whatever substitute is on the bill is what is under consideration. And if people move a subsequent substitute, then it's a choice between the subsequently offered substitute and the one that's already been put on the bill. But again, I think Mr. Cooper could get you squared away pretty easily.
Will do. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Seeing nobody else in the queue, we've got before us a motion to approve on public hearing and re-refer to Budget and Finance for BL 2020-286. And seeing nobody else in the queue, all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? We recommend the approval with re-referral. Thank you. All right, now we're on to BL 2020-276, Hall, Vercher, and others. Amends the Metro Code to establish a development impact fee. I guess calling Councilmember Vercher. Or anybody can make the motion.
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been, all right, and I've got Councilmember Hall tell us what the current status is and what he'd like the committee to do. Go ahead, Councilmember.
Thanks, Chair. So if you remember in our previous conversations, we had deferred this after having conversations with the committee and other council members. We went back, we adjusted the language. Legal and Mr. Cooper did a fantastic job in getting this ready for us to add all of the concerns that other council members had, including the effective date, so that we could move this on much easier and then give the opportunity for the state to come back into session and take up their pending bill also. So I would like to move forward with approval on this.
I assume you're asking the committee, somebody to
move the motion to approve. Yes, please.
So moved.
Substitutes moved. Councilmember Roten.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was wanting to get clarification from legal on what the ramifications were of the failure of the impact fee bill at the legislature back before they went into recess.
Mr. Cooper?
The substitute that is pending before you has basically, it does not go into effect unless the state enabling legislation is adopted. So it has specific language in there that, I mean, the bill would be adopted, but it would have no impact or no effect unless the state enabling legislation is approved.
And I guess that's my point. I mean, the bill just failed a couple of months ago in committee. So they would have to bring up a new bill. Is that correct?
Procedurally, I don't know how they work. I don't know if they would have to file a new bill or not, but yeah, I mean, both houses would have to approve it.
All right. I guess my point is that they voted on it this year and it failed. So I don't know that it's coming back. Someone who might have a little more information could.
Are you ready? They're ready?
So I was just hoping to get some information. If someone had some knowledge that I didn't have, I was just wanting to know. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councilmember Roten. Councilmember Allen.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I think my question is similar. Do we, is there benefit to needing to know what the state would approve before? I mean, let me back up and say I appreciate the sponsor working to acknowledge that we still have to work with the state in terms of timing. And I know that he's made a number of changes with regard to how the fees are calculated. Are those changes consistent with what we expect the state to pass when it finally passes something? Or is it possible that we pass this and it still ends up being counter to what the state has allowed us to do? Do we have any kind of assurance on that, or any indications, I guess, would be my question.
Mr. Cooper?
We don't have any assurances. The best we could do is to have this bill mirror what is pending at the state. So to the closest extent possible, the language is that they're consistent. Both the state bill and this bill are consistent. Now, if the state bill gets amended to do something different, then we would have to come back with a new ordinance here at the local level.
So to clarify, the amendments that have been made have been to make what we have here consistent with what is at the state currently, except that it didn't pass. But if they brought that back and passed it, we would be consistent. Is that what you just said?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Glover.
You should be able to hear me now. Both things are unmuted.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So, Mr. Cooper, in the unlikely event it comes back to the state and they make any revisions, is this amendable on third, or is this the last bite at the apple on amendments?
It is amendable on third, assuming the state picks it up between now and third reading. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Chair.
Councilmember Suara.
Thank you, Chair. I was trying to find the mute button. I wanted to say that based on the feedback from constituents that we've heard, the impact fee is an area that a lot of people want us to look into because of all the developments that is going on in Nashville. And I think everybody agrees that this is something we need to do. So I'm saying that this gets us ready for, my understanding is that the bill sponsor at the state is planning to refile it. And so what this is basically doing is making sure that we are ready to take advantage of it. As soon as the state approves it, then this allows us to do it as well. It's something that we all want to do. It's something the community wants us to do. It's something that we need to do. Short of the states stand on it. So once that clarifies, and I like the amendment because it allows us to do that. And as soon as the state is ready, this allows us to be ready as well. So I'm speaking of the.
Thank you. And Councilmember Hall, is that hand up from before still?
Actually, it's up again. And just so for clarity's sake, State Rep Jernigan is bringing back the bill, so it's not in the unlikely event that it comes back up. He is bringing it back up. He and State Rep Love and Dixie both have all been part of this conversation. So we're trying to run concurrently, both at the local and state level, because part of the issue that was had was when the mayor, comptroller, and finance director all went to try to do this very thing a few months ago. One of the biggest questions, or that they were asked several times, was why didn't we move it through council first? So we've been in conversation about doing that and running those together, but it also did not pass in committee in the House, but it did pass in the Senate, and the state Senator Steve Dixon is going to continue to push forward on his. So we just want to be in line and in place for when it comes back in session. And worst case scenario, as we've already worked through, is there are absolutely no ramifications to us. The only thing that happens if we pass this at the local level, but it eventually does not pass for some reason at the state, that it would just be a bill or an ordinance that's unenforceable. They would simply ask codes not to collect a fee, but there's no legal ramification to us at the local level.
Thank you. Councilmember Druffel.
Yeah, just checking. This might have been mentioned before, but how close is this to Williamson County's impact fees in terms of language?
My understanding is it's very close. It was when Metro Legal drafted the state bill, I think that Williamson was one of the templates that they looked at. They are on the call if they need to correct me. I also have been told here just a few minutes ago that the vote was actually on the caption bill, and so the amendment makes the bill, and once it's put back, then the amendment could be offered at the state level.
A follow-up question: do we know how much impact fees would raise in terms of potential for Nashville if it's passed?
I don't know the answer to that. We would have to codes would have to do an analysis kind of based on square footage that they permitted multiplied by the $1 residential or $2 for non-residential. I don't think that analysis has been done. This bill we just got in final form a few days ago.
Yeah, thanks. A lot of constituents have asked about something similar to this. I know it's not something for immediate, but I think it would be good to know down the road for us to know as an option if we could get this passed. Probably create some level of intensity for us to possibly help talk to our state representatives. Thank you.
Thanks, Council Member. Seeing nobody else in the queue, there's we're on a motion to adopt a substitute. Councilmember Roten, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I just had a conversation with Representative Jernigan, and he said it wasn't coming back this year. And so until we see what comes back from the state, I'm just going to have to abstain on this until we see where the state's going. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And Mr. Roten, is that on the substitute or on the bill as substituted, or both?
Bill as substituted. Thank you.
All right, so we're on the substitute for now. I have the sense that most objections, if any, would be to the bill as substituted. So we're on the motion to approve the substitute. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we've recommended adoption of the substitute. Somebody want to move approval of the bill as substituted?
So move.
Second.
All right, I think we know we're going to have something of a split vote. So let's just see where it is and then see whether we need to count. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any noes? All right, I'm going to be an abstention, and Councilmember Roten is an abstention.
Thank you.
Are there any other abstentions? Hearing none, we recommend the bill substituted with the 2 abstentions. All right, next is another budget-related one. EL 2020-287, sponsor Mendez, establishes the tax levy in the General Services District for the fiscal year 2020-2021 and declares the amount required for the annual operating budget of the Urban Services District pursuant to the Metro Charter. This is where we're looking for a motion to approve and re-refer to Budget and Finance. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All right, we've got the motion to approve with re-referral to Budget and Finance. Nobody in the queue. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any opposed? Not hearing any, we recommend approval. BL 2020-294 repeals Chapter 2.160 of the Metro Code and abolishes the Community Education Commission effective July 1, 2020. This is another one where the request is to have a motion to approve with a re-referral to Budget and Finance. Is there such a motion so we can talk about it?
So moved.
Move and re-refer.
All right, that's been moved and
I
seconded.
can get my hand down.
I see Councilmember Suara.
Oh, I couldn't get my hand down. I didn't know it was just to re-refer, but I was going to speak against it. But if this is not the time to speak against it, I'll wait until it comes back again.
Yeah, and so just briefly about that, Councilmember, I know there's going to be opposition, and if either one of my substitutes passes, this one will be indefinitely deferred because both of my versions would keep the Community Education Commission alive using their remaining fund balance, which they have suggested in their materials to the council would work for them. But if we defer now, then it may mess up the scheduling of getting it, all the budget things to the finish line at the same time. So knowing that there is opposition to this and knowing that it may be indefinitely deferred, that's why today the request is to approve with the re-referral.
Okay.
Seeing nobody else in the queue, we've got a motion to approve and re-refer to Budget and Finance. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval with re-referral to Budget and Finance. Last item on our agenda is BL 2020-295, Mendez, Hurt, and others, amends the Metro Code by abolishing the Nashville Career Advancement Center and moving functions of that agency to the Metro Action Commission effective July 1, 2020. This is a lot like the last one. I'd request a motion to approve with a re-referral to Budget and Finance.
So moved.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. I'm not seeing anybody in the queue. So all in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we recommend approval with a re-referral to Budget and Finance. So that's it for this agenda for Budget and Finance. I want to ask Slade whether I need to do anything at all other than just say, here's Councilmember Allen.
I will pass it off to you. Go ahead and just pass it off. Yeah.
Councilmember Allen, you're up for affordable housing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll go to Public Works.